Hello everyone. Thanks for coming outside with me today. Today I thought I'd take a little bit of time and talk about what is the best bow brand, compound bow anyway, for the avid outdoorsman such as myself or you, and what you should be looking for in that brand. And I think most of you, if you're familiar with my channel, you already know the answer. The best compound bow brand out there is the one that you currently shoot. But I like to talk about some of the pros and cons of some that I have shot, some companies that I've spent a lot of time with, and just kind of make us all more informed archers if we're going out this season with an older bow that we already own, or if we're looking to go buy a new one. So I'm going to start slinging some arrows, and we can go ahead and get started. So there are dozens of bow companies. But if you ever go on YouTube, or if you've ever actually been to an event, and you go and you see, big 3D events or paper events like Vegas or Louisville kind of thing, you notice there's several companies that are always there, and those are Elite, Hoyt, Prime shows up every now and then, Mathews definitely, and PSE. And I've shot bows from all those companies. I've enjoyed bows from all those companies, so I figured I'd talk about those ones in particular. And then as well, there's Bowtech sprinkled in there, and Bowtech has a smaller company, Diamond, which makes like the Diamond Infinite Edge, and then Mathews owns Mission, which make like the Mission Menace, and a lot of other bows that people really enjoy. So I'd like to talk about those companies today. So I think it's fair, as I adjust my sight here, I'm working with my Rocket Steelhead broadheads this year, so I'm doing a little bit of broadhead tuning. But I figure it's fair just to go alphabetically. So I'll start with E, which would be Elite. And I really enjoy Elite bows. They're a really good bow. They're a really good bow company. They make a very shootable bow. That's kind of their slogan, the world's most shootable bow. Elite makes some really great bows, makes some really great flagship bows. Elite tends to be on the slower end. So if you're kind of a speed freak, or you're looking to get in that kind of bow setup, that's not the company for you. They normally finish middle of the pack or towards the end in terms of speed. However, in terms of noise, vibration on the shot, they are by far one of the top leaders of the pack. Recently I shot the Impulse 31, so 31 inches axle to axle, and it was a really nice bow. I really did enjoy it. They do have the binary track system, so there's no bus cable, there's no split to it, so tuning it is really nice. Going down the alphabet, you get to H for Hoyt. Hoyt has been, if you want to think of like the Chevy and Ford of the truck world, it's normally Mathews and Hoyt, the top two that get talked about, although a lot of companies like Elite, which I just mentioned, are definitely on the rise. Hoyt has been making bows for a very long time. They've been a leader in terms of innovation and how they create things, and I'm a little bit biased. I used to shoot for Hoyt when I was in the amateur junior leagues, and I still shoot one to this day. However, Hoyt is definitely a very good name. They definitely make great flagship bows. They only recently kind of got into the lower end price bow market with like the Hoyt Charger. I think they now make the Power Max for the younger crowd and for the ladies and for people just getting into archery. But they definitely make a very good bow. Very good bow set. Obviously, I shoot a carbon element, so a high-end price bow there, but still a very good, reputable company, fantastic customer service. So going down, you get to M, which is Mathews, and then their other company, Mission. So Mathews, I really loved the Mathews line back in like the 2005, 2010 range, when they were making nearly always single cam bows. I think actually exclusively single cam bows. So things like the Switchback XT, the Adrenaline. 2006, they used to own a Legacy. Just great bows, smooth drawing. That was before things like string suppressors and string stops started to come out. But then like the Z7 and the Z2, I never owned one, but I shot them. They were just phenomenal. But now they're starting to get into the dual cam and the hybrid cam system. They did the no cam a couple of years ago, and now I think what is by far the best bow in the 2015-16 era, which is the Halon. I like the Halon 7. I like that longer brace height for the, I don't know, I guess the relief of the shot or the forgiveness. But there's a really, really, really good bow company. They really stand by their product. They have great customer service. Along with Hoyt, like I said earlier, they're like the Mathews and Hoyt are like the Chevy and the Ford of the truck world. They're just the two biggest companies. People have been shooting them for decades. I don't think you can go wrong. Now with the Mission, I've shot things like the Mission Menace, and that's where you see things like how Bowtech makes Diamond, where like Bowtech, they have like the Bowtech CPX and Bowtech 270, which I've never shot, so that's why I'm not talking about those bows, because I don't have any personal experience with them. Bows that are highly adjustable are obviously not going to be as nice as bows that are more specifically adjustable. So things like the Menace, which can go from like a 17-inch draw to a 30 or whatever it is, and like 20 to 70 pounds, are not going to be as nice and as well put together and as quiet and as smooth and as forgiving as a bow that's a little bit more specific and a higher end of a price tag. After M, you get N, L, M, N, L, M, N, O, P, P for Prime. Prime is by far the weirdest looking compound bow personally. It has that like two interlocked cams, top and bottom. Very weird string and cable setup. Prime is very nice, but they just came out with their 82X aluminum riser, which I believe they advertise to be the strongest riser on the market today. They are very, very nice bows. I personally don't think I'd ever buy one just because that interlock cam system scares me in terms of the tuning, because I like to fiddle. If you've ever seen my other videos, I really enjoy kind of being intimate with my equipment and really knowing how it works, and that would take some time getting used to. Other than that though, they're fantastic bows, super dead in the hand, very quiet, very little string suppression needed. That should be right in there. Oh, it's low again! By about an inch, but still low. Staying in the letter P, you go from Prime to PSE. I shoot a PSE, and that's kind of because that bow fell into my lap, and I really enjoy shooting it. PSE, of all the bow companies, has kind of done the least, I think, innovation, and that's just kind of my personal preference on it. I shot the things like the PSE Vendetta, the PSE DNA, and nothing seems to really have changed in terms of what PSE does. You know, they kind of stayed with a standard cable slide just like Elite, but in terms of how the risers are built, how the bow handles in your hand, things like that, not much has changed in the past 4 or 5 years. The great thing about PSE is that I think their low-end bows, I'm thinking back to like the PSE Momentum, PSE Drive, the Brute, those kind of bows. I don't know what they're called these days, but those are by far, I think, the best low-end budget compound bows compared to things like Mission and Diamond. I would much rather see people pick up a PSE on the low end than a Diamond or or a Mission on the low end. So I will give them that. That is a great thing. But other than that, I don't think they've changed much. And I wouldn't put them as the very, very top of the list, but they're still a good bow company. There are still tons of other bow companies out there. I'm thinking of things like Expedition Archery, Obsession Bows, New Breed, but those are bows that I haven't shot before, so I can't really give my personal opinions on them. From what I've seen from other people, they are really good bow companies. They shoot really well. They're on a lot of hunting shows if you watch them online and on TV. So they clearly do make good equipment, and I just can't speak for them because I've never personally held them in my hand or shot them at a range. So obviously everything is really a matter of preference, and your personal experiences with shooting bows. I am very blessed that I live in a country where I have the option to shoot a lot of different bows, and even more importantly, I'm in a state where I can shoot a lot of different bows. Lancaster Archery Supply here in Pennsylvania is only a couple hours away from my house, which is like one of the meccas of archery in the world, definitely in the United States. I'm not brand loyal at all. Just because I shot Hoyt for a while, as you can probably tell, I love Mathews. The Mathews and Hoyt people always fight for a while. But it doesn't matter to me. If the bow shoots great, the bow shoots great. So there's no two ways about it. For me, it's a four-way tie with kind of Prime falling into a second place slot. And the only reason why I put Prime down there on a second place slot is because of the tuning capabilities. Those strings are a little bit odd to deal with. I like the shootability of Elite, and I like a slow, quiet bow. I'd much rather have a slower, quiet bow than a loud, fast one. My goal is to hunt in the woods. My goal is to be able to be as stealthy as possible. I've always loved Hoyt. I don't like the looks, if you really want to know my honest opinion. I don't like the looks of the new 2016 Defiant series. I don't like that big swooping curved limb. Really, I've always enjoyed Hoyt, but if I'm telling you, if I could buy a new bow this year, it probably would have been the Halon. It's a really great bow. Obviously, it's a Mathews, and so it's just, again, it comes down to a matter of preference, but I put those top three Elite, Hoyt and Mathews, and then Prime is a very, very close second. In terms of a budget bow, which a lot of people, ask me about, a lot of people are really looking at getting into, my very, 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 very first bow ever was a PSE Momentum. Well, it's now, or at least it was the Momentum, I don't remember exactly. That was my kind of like the first legitimate bow that I ever kind of purchased. I still purchased it off of eBay. PSE budget line, the Brute, the Momentum, the Drive, whatever they are now, those are the bows to go with. Seen a lot of good bear bows, bear archery. Bear's really known for its traditional recurves and longbows, but I have a buddy of mine who shoots a bear effect, and I really like to look at the Bear Authority, which is a single cam bow. I just looked it up last night. You can get a full ready to kill package on eBay for $284, I think, shipped. Which that sounds pretty legit to me. So maybe that's another thing you can look into, is something like bear archery. So whether you're shelling out $1,500 for the latest carbon Hoyt Defiant, or whether you want to shell out $300 for a PSE or a bear or something like that, I hope you're able to be better informed now. Maybe have your own opinions about archery bow companies and bow brands, and I hope you're able to get out, no matter what bow you shoot, enjoy the sport of archery, maybe enjoy the sport of archery hunting, and we'll get to see you next time.